Hey movie lovers, welcome back to Movie Sci-Fi, the channel where we dive deep into the worlds that captivate and thrill us. Today we're unraveling the enigmatic layers of Companion, an intriguing drama by Drew Hancock that starts with a billionaire's death and spirals into a weekend of mystery and suspense. Starring a dynamic trio, Sophie Thatcher, Quaid, and Lukas Gage, this film intricately weaves secrets and tensions at a luxurious lakeside estate. But what do real viewers think? Stay tuned as we explore top helpful IMDB reviews that peel back the layers of this mystery. Don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic adventures, and let's uncover what truly makes Companion resonate with audiences. System Reboot. Companion is a fast-paced, darkly funny sci-fi thriller that's creepy, shocking, and wildly satisfying. It dives into heavy themes like control, abuse, and toxic masculinity while delivering some brutal, bloody moments, and it's all surprisingly empowering. The kills are creative, and the modern humor paired with a killer soundtrack keeps it fresh and entertaining. Sophie Thatcher absolutely kills it as Iris, bringing depth, intensity, and a sharp edge to a role that could have easily felt one note in lesser hands. This isn't just another parody, it's razor-sharp satire that takes no prisoners, forcing every audience member to look within themselves while making misogynistic men furious. Honestly, it puts Black Mirror to shame. The tagline from the studio that brought you The Notebook is absolute chaos, but it weirdly fits the film's unhinged energy. Best of all, Companion isn't a remake, reboot, sequel, or ripoff. It's exactly the kind of pure originality people have been begging for. If you're into bold, bloody horror comedies, this one's a crowd pleaser and the perfect date movie. AI Slasher, I'm in! Tonight's Secret Screaming at Cineworld presented this absolutely fantastic romp. There's just something about Iris that seems off. Okay, this is sold as horror. It's more slasher, thriller, black comedy, and it works. Nothing too taxing. So horror fans may be disappointed, but with a couple of very brutal scenes, buyer beware. Thatcher owns every scene. She performs the different mods perfectly. Quaid shows his dad's masterful gift of complete character turnaround from lovable pup to dark aggressor, and Friend's Russian cameo is a greasy delight. Hang your logic at the door, don't ask too many questions, and enjoy. Black Mirror vibes. Saw an early screening of the movie and it was okay. AI thrillers are not that original. There is an episode of Black Mirror that definitely resembles this film. I think the humor definitely made the movie better. I wish they would have expanded a little more on the character's background and maybe have a better ending, but overall it wasn't a bad movie. The beginning was a little weird, and it took a while to adjust to the vibe. And there was a few moments that made me gasp, so points for that. It was bloody, funny, with a little mystery thriller and a sprinkle of romance. Definitely not a horror film. I decided to purchase the Mystery Movie Night because it was labeled as a rated R horror movie. It was everything but that. Overall movie was meh. It was okay, but I probably would never watch it again. A sweet and sour treat. Sophie Thatcher was born for this role, masterfully balancing vulnerability and cruelty in a truly distinctive way. She's the new face of modern-day horror. As soon as the credits roll, the thought-provoking social critique will leave you contemplating what society is turning into. Avoid the trailers at all costs. This is best experienced with no prior knowledge. It's reflective on the way specific individuals are and who will turn out to be when certain outcomes occur. The concept, fast-paced, sharp comedy, and extreme bloodshed all add in together for a very fun and unexpected time at the cinema. Almost great. I watched Companion early as the selection for this week's Mystery Movie Monday. I knew nothing about it going in, which worked out amazingly because discovering the premise was one of the most enjoyable aspects of the movie. Another example of why I don't watch trailers. This is a movie filled with intrigue, especially early on as we find out more and more. It's also surprisingly funny, with several moments when the entire theater was laughing. I was enjoying it for the most part, but a few things held it back for me. The third act lingers and doesn't fully seem to know where to go. It becomes predictable and falls into familiar tropes of the subgenre. And there is also some forced messaging. I had a decent time with this movie, but I'm a little disappointed because it was close to being something great. something memorable that stands out. Pleasantly enjoyable. Hadn't read any reviews on this. We saw this at a secret screaming preview tonight. It opens Friday in England. Was glad it was this, as we have seen the trailer, and I do like a thriller. I have to admit I didn't recognize any of the stars in the film, but that's okay. The film takes a twist that I wasn't aware of. And I did do an eye roll when I realized, but it isn't a robot takeover sort of film. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would go and see it again though. It didn't make me jump. Did make me laugh though, and was an enjoyable film to watch. If you like thrillers and something a little different, then go and check his out. The humor companioning this film dampens it. The film is very watchable and clips along nicely. But if you're expecting a straight horror film, which is what this film has been marketed as, you'll be sorely disappointed. This is more like a darkly comedic thriller with horror elements. There's a great deal of humor, mostly dark comedy, that's sprinkled throughout the film. While it certainly adds some levity in an otherwise bleak storyline, it actually kind of takes away from the film overall. There are several moments that could have been much more unsettling, scary, or gripping, but the gravitas was unfortunately diluted by the comedy. It almost feels like a formulaic and generic mixture of the films The Terminator, 1984, and Ex Machina, 2014. Except this film is not on the same level as either of those films and is nowhere near as thought-provoking and intriguing. That's not to say that the film is not worth seeing. The performances across the board are good. Sophie Thatcher is great and charismatic here as the lead. She really makes you feel for her character, and Harvey Guillén has a few hilarious lines. I feel like if the film minimized its humor or got rid of it completely and this was dramatic throughout, the stakes would have felt higher and the film would have been better overall. As is, it's a pretty good film with some nice visuals and cool action scenes. Bland, superficial, wasted opportunity. Don't believe the hype. This is as bland as your average streaming film. It explores AI, something audiences are at risk of getting sick of, but despite skimming well-trodden surfaces of things like sentience and free will, it does nothing interesting with it at all. Distracting winks to Spielberg or Kubrick's AI, a peripheral character called Teddy. The Black Mirror episode with Domhnall Gleeson was far more memorable with its treatment of an AI companion, and that was 12 years ago now. Worse, though, is that it explores domestic abuse, but merely as an excuse for plot dynamics. It's treated in the most superficial, glib way, with a two-dimensional character from Jack Quaid, and really messy, sometimes completely irresponsible, with its messages of female empowerment. The story goes all over the place like it was being written as it went, bookended by some corny narration, repeated at the end, that just falls flat. There's no emotional through line, no emotional investment, no suspense. It's not a horror. It's not a comedy. It's just your average streaming-type film with annoying characters. Hit the Spot. Saw in IMAX. Crisp, smooth writing, dialogue throughout that is enriching and refreshing. I would officially support anything by Drew Hancock and producer Zach Kreger. It's impressive how much Sophie Thatcher has blossomed since Yellow Jacket series, and she's around 24 years old. She's exceptional in anything I've seen. I would give her an award myself if I could. Besides that, this is basically romantic horror film version of Black Mirror, and every scene is well crafted like fine wine. Side note, I had a melon ball drink that was delicious. Lukas Gage has been busy. He was in Smile 2 not long ago. That is phenomenal as well. Love it all. Would highly recommend. Great! Companion is great! I was actually spoiled on the general gist of this due to the trailers, which I didn't even seek out, but despite ignoring them pre-other flicks, I still managed to catch what this was about. Happily, it didn't matter, as the film lets the cat out fairly quickly. I thought the aforementioned was going to be an issue. Even though it is only a 90-minute movie, I didn't think at that moment that it was going to have enough in the tank to make the overall movie enjoyable. I was wrong. It's a blast all the way through. There's a pleasant pace to it all. Sophie Thatcher is brilliant. Her showing is impressive and very convincing. That blood-soaked look is class. The rest of the cast aren't on Thatcher's level but are still positive parts of this film, namely Jack Quaid and Lukas Gage. Thanks to the short runtime, this does fly by. Top film. I saw it on the big screen as part of a double bill of sorts with Hard Truths. This was the second one, and it's a barrel of laughs compared to that Mike Leigh picture. Two films that I would highly recommend all the same. Good fun thriller? Wow, I really liked this movie. I had just got done watching it. I really like how this film played out. It was a really fun thriller to watch. I really like the cast of this movie. They all did an amazing job with this film. And I really like Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. They are really good in this movie. I haven't seen a thriller like this before with the AI bot-like characters, but it was pretty fun to watch in my opinion. I have to say, this movie was great, and I would definitely have to recommend this movie to anyone who likes any type of thriller movies. Great movie to go see at the theater on the big screen too. And that's a wrap on our journey through Companion. Thanks for tuning in to Movie Sci-Fi. If you enjoyed the insights, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a comment with your thoughts on the movie. We love hearing from you. Stay curious and keep exploring new cinematic worlds with us. Until next time, keep your imagination alive.